everybody, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about something called the imposter syndrome. So I'm going to explain what it is. I'm going to explain the different personality types that will be effective and how it negatively impacts your life. So the imposter syndrome was first identified in 1978 by psychologists Clance and Imes. The imposter syndrome is basically where you feel like you don't deserve all of the success that you've achieved. You kind of feel like a fraud. I feel like it leads you to self-sabotage. Because you feel like you don't deserve what you've achieved, you look for any excuse to ruin everything that you've built. So in her book, The Secret Thoughts of Successful Women, Valerie Young identified the personality types that are most likely to suffer from imposter syndrome. Right, so type number 1 is the perfectionist. The perfectionist sets amazingly high standards for themselves, and they see any small failure as the end of the world, and they definitely question their competence and value if they make even the smallest mistake. So type number 2 is the expert. The expert feels that they need an insurmountable amount of information even to fulfill the smallest of tasks. So the expert is often stuck in the planning stages during projects, or they won't apply for jobs unless they feel like they match every bit of the criteria. So with the expert, there is a fear of incompetence, so they're very unlikely to take a lot of risks. Type number 3. So these people are called the geniuses. They're the people that when they try something new, they expect to be good at it straight away. And if they're struggling or they feel like they're not making any progress, they'll just give up and they'll feel worthless and incompetent. So basically, if they're not Serena Williams by the time they pick up a tennis racket, they'll just give up and they'll quit their tennis lessons. Type number 4, the soloist. So they feel that they need to do everything by themselves, so they're very unlikely to ask for assistance because that will make them feel like a complete failure. They would rather suffer alone than ask for help. So type number 5 is the superman or the superwoman. They feel like they need to be doing everything all of the time to be valuable. So those are the people who are constantly working, constantly trying to help people in order to feel a sense of self-worth. So you need to ask yourself if you see any of these behaviors in you, and do they often cause you to self-sabotage? So now I'm going to give you an example of how it's affected me in my life. So I have struggled with this my whole life. I've always worried about being incompetent, and I've always questioned my self-worth and how good I am at things. So in 2017, I was lucky enough to be offered a role as a university lecturer, and this really activated my imposter syndrome by revealing the personality trait of always needing to be the expert. So I feel often that I'm not competent at something unless I've read every single thing about it. I've got the best qualifications in that area. So I was really confident in the job interview, but as soon as I got the job, then my insecurity began to set in. So my first insecurity was the fact that I didn't have a PhD. So I was offered the chance to do my PhD for free whilst I worked. And this isn't uncommon, this is normal practice, but I felt really insecure about it. Also, I was really insecure about my age. At this time, I think I was about 31. So I was much younger than a lot of the staff members. And I was insecure about the fact that I'm black. So some people might say, what's race got to do with it? But it does, because in things like education studies, there's a limited amount of ethnic minority, especially black people. So I felt the pressure of performing well because I was black, and it sounds stupid, but I was really worried that if I mess up, they might not hire another black person again. So it is a lot of pressure for ethnic minorities and any minority group. If you're a woman in a man's environment, you would feel pressure to perform well. If you're disabled, you might feel pressure. It just really does affect your mental health, and you feel so worried and anxious every single day. So I began to make excuses as to why they employed me. I began to tell myself that, oh, they only employed me because I was young and they just wanted someone to be down with the kids. And also I said, oh, maybe because I'm black, because most of the students are ethnic minority in that university and on that course. So I just thought maybe I'm just a token. Whilst I know that there is truth to that, I know that they employed me because I was an experienced teacher. I had valuable set of skills to bring to the role, and I was super enthusiastic. But at the time, I was just blinded by my insecurity and I couldn't accept this. So this led me to self-sabotage. So once I started, I was really socially awkward. I felt out of place because I was the only black member of the department and I was the youngest one of all of the lecturers. So I didn't know what to say. It was just really awkward. And that came through in my teaching. I felt really shy and really introverted. And students pick up on anxiety and a lack of confidence. So I noticed a real difference between how I was treated and how my colleagues were treated. So all of the lecturers on that program had to attend each other's lecturers, even if we're not teaching. And we had to sit at the back and manage behaviour because sometimes the behaviour was so bad. You wouldn't expect this from university students, but it happened. So I felt under pressure to manage the behaviour of the students at the back of the class. And there was a group of girls who just kept talking throughout the whole lecture and they were disturbing other people. So I shushed them and told them to turn around, which other lecturers do every single lecture. But for some reason they took offence that I dared to do that. And I do think it was because I was young and because I was black. And bear in mind, majority of the students on that course were ethnic minorities. But they just felt that I didn't have the right to be in a position of authority. And I think they had some internalized issues with race and their own race, and they project it on ethnic minority authority figures. So these group of girls in the lecture, they began to be straight disrespectful to me. So they would be whispering about me. I heard someone whisper about my hair or what I was wearing, and they never did that to the older white lecturers. And they would try to intimidate me by kind of like not moving out my way when they need to go past and just different things like that. And I just felt so insecure. So I just want to highlight that other lecturers were sitting in on my lectures and they enjoyed my lectures and they didn't see anything wrong with the way I was teaching. But I felt like I was incompetent because the students were having such a negative reaction towards me. And it led me to question myself. So I did go to my line manager and I told her everything that was happening to me. But she didn't quite understand because she hadn't faced quite the same problems and she didn't get it. Like she said to me, well, you know, you're black, so wouldn't they be able to relate to you and look at you as a role model? But she didn't understand that that's not always the case and that's not how black women function towards each other a lot of the time. We can be quite hostile towards each other. So I felt really anxious and really alone and I was scared to go in because I didn't want to go through that every single lecture and seminar. So I became severely depressed, and this depression wasn't just because of this job, it was the jobs I've had before in high school teaching and everything that had happened to me. I'd had bullying at work before. So I just sunk into depression. I couldn't take anymore. It got to the point where it felt like there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And I'll talk about this in another video about depression. But I was off for 6 months and then eventually I resigned because I couldn't see myself going back. So basically, I left higher education teaching because I didn't feel competent. And I really valued the opinion of the students, like way too much. I destroyed a blossoming career for a bunch of girls that didn't like me. This happened because I had no confidence in myself or my ability, and I just needed any reason to confirm my biases against myself. Don't ever do this. Don't let anyone make you feel that you're not good enough for the position that you're in. I know this is a cliche, but if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So now I'm going to highlight some strategies that you should use in order to combat imposter syndrome. So number 1, admit that you have imposter syndrome. This will give you an opportunity to examine your biases against yourself and maybe change your beliefs. Number 2, ask for support. So I did this a little bit, but I should have done it so much more. If you ask for support, then other people who are more experienced than you can help you, and this will boost your competence level and your confidence. Also, when you ask for support, then people are most likely to tell you that you are actually doing a good job. And this gives you a different frame of reference and a different belief, and maybe you'll feel more confident after getting this validation. Number 3, and this is so important, accept that you will never be perfect. I am a perfectionist. Like, even when I'm recording YouTube videos, I just record over and over and over again and keep deleting, and it takes so long because I'm trying to come across perfectly, and I never will. I'll always stumble over my words and say the wrong thing. So once you accept that, you're more likely to be confident in yourself. You are going to screw up and you are going to make mistakes, but that doesn't mean that you're useless or a bad person. It just means that you're human. Number 4, Remember that there's always someone less competent than you are. Have you ever seen someone who's just really bad at their job and they're just terrible, but they think they're amazing? Those people will probably go far because they're quite confident. So you need to always remember that there's someone worse than you. Number 5, learn to embrace your strengths. So I really struggle with this. If somebody compliments me, I give them reasons why they're wrong. So in teaching, I would have lesson observations, and a lot of the time I would get really positive feedback, and I would respond by listing all of the things that went wrong in the lesson. So I would highlight the negative parts of the lesson. So it's insulting to do this. It's insulting for yourself, and it's insulting towards the people giving you the compliments and the feedback. So please accept any compliments graciously. So the main point that I need you to remember is that you are unique and you are valuable. You're the only version of you out there, and you are the only one who can do the job like you do. So don't let anyone shake your confidence and make you question your value. Please remember that you are enough, and of course self-improvement is important, but don't let that fear lead you to self-sabotage. So I hope this video has been really useful to someone out there and helps them avoid the imposter syndrome. So thank you for watching and have a nice day.